welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge magic has to offer, a place to illuminate and demystify all things magical. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Magical Aspirations. It's Adriana. We got a good conversation for y'all today. I am thrilled to be interviewing my lovely co-hosts, Anna-Lisa and Reverend Raven.
Hello.
We are going to be talking about the animals, the beautiful gifts of nature that they are, diving into their experiences with animals, intuition, familiars, like all the things. So strap in, get you a good piping hot cup of tea, coffee, whatever you like, a snack, and enjoy this combo. Okay, ladies, welcome. What's up? How are y'all doing?
I'm good. It's a chilly Sunday here in Louisiana. I'm got my hot cup of coffee. My mama would be proud. I'm ready to talk about the animals. I'm so excited.
Yes. Yeah, definitely in the same boat here. Made my ancestor coffee this morning, and the one that I made for myself was a little stronger than usual. So I'm on tea right now so I don't over caffeinate. I'm currently being bossed around by my 14-year-old pit bull.
Naturally, of course.
She's demanding breakfast, even though she doesn't usually eat till another hour or so from now. But, you know, we do it for the animals, like we're going to be talking about on this episode.
Okay, so to begin, let us dive into first y'all's own personal journeys with animals. Where did it begin? Where is it now?
I'll go first. Since I identify as Reverend Raven, you probably guess that I have a very strong connection to animals. I grew up in a pet-friendly household, which transferred to us moving to a farm whenever I was 10. Got my first cat at the ripe age of 3, thanks to a sign in a front yard that said there was free kittens. So I've always had a very strong connection to animals, and as a little girl I used to just go outside and sit out in the woods and watch the animals interact with each other. Really enjoyed watching their behavior, watching them do things like foraging for food and interacting with one another, making their own little homes, go on little, walks and identify their little environments and try to figure out who lived there in that little den that I found and things like that. Whenever I started exploring my spirituality, it was clear to me very quickly that I was being followed around by a raven. As far as a spiritual or totem animal, the raven has talked to me very strongly through stories and lore and things like that since I was about 12, 13. And then where I grew up in Indiana, it was mainly crows that were surrounding me. So the messages of the crows sounded very similar to the messages of the ravens that I would read. And so my spirit animal actually is a mixture between a raven and a crow. And that was the first tattoo that I got actually on my right shoulder there. So as I've developed my spiritual practice, I have definitely continued to work with the animals. I always watch what animals are around me, whenever I'm going throughout my day and just kind of seeing, what messages that they bring me. In my muggle life, I manage a veterinary clinic and I'm a pet massage practitioner. I do energy work on dogs and cats. So I definitely feel like animals are a big part of my life spiritually and, like I said, in the physical realm.
I love that.
Yeah, I echo that similar story 1000%. Animals were a thing from a little wee patat pulling a kitten out from underneath my grandma's house that I had to be, God, 4 or 5, no older than that. And he was a cat that didn't like anybody really but me and my mom. He would kind of like follow my mom around the yard and hang out with her, but it was always noted that he was kind of a turd. If you know Legends of the Fall, the character Tristan, my dad would always call him Tristan because he was kind of two-faced. Like he was this just, kind of big tomcat that would walk up to you and try to be like, yeah, let's be friends. And he specifically didn't care for my dad. And so he would always, bite and scratch people, but he would come crawl right up in my lap. And there are countless pictures of us on my porch swing outside, of us just hanging out and being like real tight. His name was Zeke. He was a good cat.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about, coming up on this conversation this morning, that the point where I feel like the most muggle in my life, or felt like there was like a time period, probably from like, we'll say like 15, 16 to like mid 20s, maybe like 20, 21, 22, that I didn't associate much with animals. And now that I am actually thinking about that, we had a dog growing up named Patches, and it was when she died that like I kind of felt like the muggle life really set in, and like I didn't feel very magical at all. Like it wasn't anything on my radar. But then as things were changing for me that would have been 2010, 2009, somewhere in there, that I actually started working at a vet clinic again. And then once I made that connection with animals again, that's when the magical journey kind of restarted. So that didn't really click until this very moment. But Becky talked about her raven and her crow, and I also echo that with the hawk. I lived not quite in the swamp, but extremely swamp adjacent. So it wasn't out of character to see some wildlife, raccoons, armadillos, turtles, kind of stuff like that. But there was this one hawk, and it's the same hawk that has been following me from young childhood, not so much in the muggle part of life, but since the magic has come back, the hawks are a big, big messenger for me. I see them all the time. It's been on a weekly basis lately. And I find myself astounded that people don't, like Becky noted, like talking about or noting all of the animals that are around her. I'm the same way. I clock kind of whatever birds and little creatures are around me all the time. And it amazes me how people don't see them. Just a week or so ago, I was coming back from my lunch break at work, and I had just backed back into my parking spot, and maybe the biggest red-tailed hawk I have ever seen in person came just like swooping across the lawn and came and landed at the very bottom of this tree. And he was so big that like the whole tree kind of swayed. It was this little small oak tree, that the whole tree kind of moved under his weight. And like he looked at me and ruffled his feathers and flapped his wings, made like another big lap around, and then off on his way. How is that anything other than magic? And like, I like stopped and like took a picture, and like, I came back in and I was like, did you guys see that? And they were like, what? And I was like, how are you not, even if you're not taking a magical note from it? Like, that was cool. Like, come on, people. Animals are, sorry, I get really passionate about it.
No apologies needed.
Don't apologize.
They're a huge part of my magical journey for sure.
Yeah.
I love hearing this. And I love that y'all are so in tune with the fact of animals are basically our neighbors. They are our neighbors. And your story is so beautiful. So now that y'all are both working in a clinic with animals, and you've had like seen animals in all of these different ways, and you've also both of you have pets, and you've grown up with pets and all of this, so forth. So how and what is it like to connect and communicate with animals for you right now?
It's the most special connection that I have, because it's the easiest connection that I have. Like it's like being fluent in another language. And to me, it's almost that English feels like a second language, because I feel like I struggle to communicate with humans sometimes. And it's so easy to, it's just so easy. It's the
Mhm.
easiest thing that I can do is talk to them and understand what they're trying to get us to understand.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I would echo that. Anna-Lisa and I actually met by working together in the same veterinary practice, and we got the experience to work together with a very special dog who was behaviorally challenged. And we got the opportunity to connect with him on such a spiritual level. I'm tearing up now thinking about it.
Same
Hmm.
here. Like
Yeah.
Ledger, just got
Ledger
to
was
say
so
his name.
special.
What a
Mhm.
He
name.
was, yeah.
He was a
The
legend,
most,
and
yeah.
yeah, just to be able to connect with animals on a spiritual level, you can really understand where they're coming from. Um,
Mm.
before I moved to New Orleans, I worked at an animal shelter, and my job was the behaviorist.
Mm.
And it was literally my job to work with the most challenged of pets.
Mm.
And the person that I started working with there taught me how to connect with them energetically in a way that I had never thought of before. I have always been connected to animals, but she taught me how to basically just sit there and put my hands out, turn my face away from them so I wasn't making direct eye contact, which is very
Mm.
threatening to animals. Put my hands out and just send them love, energy,
Mm.
compassion, understanding, healing. And that is a way for them to connect with us so they know that they can trust us. They
Mm.
can tell our intentions and what we are trying to do. That we're
Mm.
not trying to force them to do something that's scary or that they don't want to do, that we are respecting their boundaries, their hesitations, their fears. But it all starts with that connection.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And that was one of
That's
the
so
most
intense.
powerful lessons. And that had been, whenever we got to work with Ledger, something that I drew back upon those
Mm.
experiences.
Hmm. Hmm. I feel that I think about Ledger often. He was a big, beautiful red Doberman.
Oh,
So
bless.
he, oh my God, he's just a stunning creature. But he was a big guy, and when you work with animals, you do start to understand that there is no difference between big animals and small animals. But there is this certain fear that comes with big animals because
Mhm.
big animals can cause big damage sometimes in a small amount of
Mhm.
time. And there were a lot of people who, in the clinic that Becky and I were working in, it was kind of a surprisingly male heavy environment and male energy environment. And we had to remove him from a situation where he was trying to be overpowered
Mm.
in, because there are, if you work in veterinary medicine, you understand that there are sometimes moments where you have to go through a small moment of mild discomfort to be able to get to something, to be able to deal with them in a comfortable and safe way.
Mm. Mm.
And these two people were trying to overpower him. And it reminded me of like when people talk about breaking a horse.
Mm.
Becky
Mhm.
and I were allowed to be able to work with him in a different way. And the way that that started was with us literally, we sat in an exam room with him in almost total darkness. It was very dim for, God, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour. And we just kept making these slow little steps towards
Mm.
making him comfortable. And I think where people struggle with communicating with animals, kind of like Becky was saying too, is it's our expectation. We have these expectations, like we think of dogs, obviously, because that's what people are probably the most familiar with, because cats are a whole different thing. But like dogs, for example, we have human expectations of them: sit, behave, do all of these
Mm.
things, when
Mm.
like that's not their nature. And you have to come from seeing the world from their perspective. Like Ledger had been hurt, and like he anticipated human touch with pain, and we were allowed to be able to show him that's not always what it was. And I agree with Becky. That is a situation and an experience that I will never forget. And I draw from in a lot of experiences with the animals that I deal with in my muggle job, because, we work with animals all the time.
Intense. I got chills listening to that. Oh my God. Oh, that's y'all said so many key things. But that one line about like having to connect with animals from their perspective instead of putting these human expectations is incredibly important for both just like interacting with animals in every day, but if you also have pets, it's huge. It could literally save your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you speak to anybody that does any type of like wildlife rehab or works with like wild birds, animals who aren't domesticated, you will definitely hear those messages echoed. Because they don't understand that you're not going to harm them.
Right.
Absolutely. Wow. So I guess in that same, what are some safety measures that folks should consider when they're working with animals magically?
I was thinking about this question, and I actually saw the silliest reel on Instagram the other day, and it was about this cat. Her name is Biscotti, but they call her Hiscotti because she, she's kind of just a cat that I think of cats probably when you're working with any sort of, or like even deities. I mean, and I guess if you're in the Egyptian culture, cats and deities are the same. It's just about respect. It's about respecting, not invading their space first. That like cats, I feel like a lot of cats, you have to be invited in. And like the visual that kept coming to mind was like the hippogriff from Harry Potter, right? That like you bow to them first because you're respectful to be here and to take in their messages. And from there, it's just about bond building.
Building trust and listening. Listening is the biggest thing. We as humans, we want to talk. But in working with animals, we have to learn how to listen. Sometimes you just got to shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that's such a I have so many words. So many words.
Yeah,
and nothing is coming out.
That makes me think of whenever like I said, when I was a little girl and I would go and sit outside in the woods and watch the animals, and I would have to be very still and very quiet so I wouldn't startle them, so I could, observe them and watch them and have some kind of interaction with them. But I never would be like, oh my God, there's a squirrel, and like run after them. Or be like making a bunch of noise or, going towards them. I would always, like I said, just be still and be quiet. And if they want to come and interact with me, then that is their choice. And I feel like working with animals magically, whether that is in the physical realm or in the spiritual realm, that is a very big lesson, is that we need to just sit and listen. If they want to come and interact with us, that's up to them. It's of their own free will. And we can do things to open ourselves up to those messages. But like I said, the biggest thing is being still and being quiet.
That is that raised up a memory around having, like, when I was connecting with the dragons, when I was actually doing that dragon meditation. And the first time I did it, there was like this immediate need to be still, like coming into, like, once I got into the zone and did all the things and it was like in the headspace, there was no hurry up and like try to ask all these questions and connect. It was literally just sit there and exist and be and feel the energy that was being emitted. And I that memory is also how any meditation has gone for me, at least, that I've connected with an animal guide. It's always sit there, observe, listen, watch, instead of sometimes when I'm connecting with an ancestor or some other more human like spirit guide. It's kind of like we do jump into a conversation, but the animals are more so just like you said, shut the fuck up, sit down. And I have learned so much just from doing that, and probably learn more from those meditations than if I would have been asking 500,000 questions.
And I just in this moment found it very ironic for someone whose spirit guide is a crow. It's a fucking messenger. They don't shut the fuck up.
True.
They are quite loquacious.
Oh, but I have an experience to share about that it reminded me of. I met the crow and the raven in different meditations and things like that about 20 years ago. And it may be 2 years ago at this point. I went to a sound bath and a guided meditation about meeting your spirit guide. And I went through all of the motions. I, cleared my mind and I opened myself up to meeting a new guide. And it was really funny because I, again, saw the crow, but it was in a different way. So usually when I see the crow, it's, up in the air, it's speaking, it's calling, it's making different noises, it's flying, it's showing me things. And in that moment, the crow was on the ground. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen the Native American Crow tribe and their dances, where they call it the crow hop. And they do a dance where they're like hopping on the ground and like looking for things on the ground. And in that meditation, the crow was showing me that there are important things that I could see on the ground. If I took the time to look down and look at what's in front of me instead of always having to look up and look ahead and all of that, if I just take the time to look down and investigate the things in front of me, that there are a lot more messages and treasures that I could find.
Oh, wow.
A crow does love their treasures.
They do.
Yeah, that's why I use the word treasures, because that's what I always think of. The crow finding their shiny trinket, on the ground, or picking up, a nut or a coin or, foil or whatever it might be. That's what the crow was showing me in that moment.
Crows are so cool.
They are.
Talk a little bit, I guess, about them, really quickly, since we're calling them out, that they are messengers, that they typically represent sharing messages between the spirit world and our world. But that doesn't necessarily limit, the messages that they're sharing. There are a lot of stories, from different pantheons and different traditions where crows or ravens are messengers of the gods. Hunan and Munin are Odin's ravens. They fly around the world and come back and show him what they've seen. So they are being a messenger to a god in that case, where, like I said, in a lot of cultures, they're messengers from the spirit world to our world. Sometimes they're the carriers of the spirits of the dead in other cultures.
Yeah, crows they were definitely some of my first bird teachers, especially in New Orleans, because there's a lot of fucking crows.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was a family of them living a murder of crows that always makes me giggle. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of them living in our backyard, and they were so observant. Every time I came outside, they would just look at me, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to watch. And they just look, and then they'd eventually go about their business. But eventually it got to a point to where they just weren't even fazed by my presence. And I just thought that was so cool. And I've just had so many different run-ins with crows. And now being here in Chattanooga, it's a little different there. At least in the area that I'm in, there aren't as many crows around, but there have been an increase of them moving into the trees near our home. And they are so, I don't know, I feel like they got a lot to say, obviously. But they come, and when they're doing their thing, they let me know, like, hey, it's probably not going to be a really good day. Like, okay, great. Thanks for the reminder. I really don't want to hear that, but all right, sure, whatever. And they're always right. So I do miss that interaction with the crows. Anna-Lisa, for you, what's the hawk been like? Because I have, yes, I want to know.
The hawk is, for me, a dual messenger. I can remember seeing the hawk in my backyard as a young girl, taking pictures of it, being just like immediately drawn to it. And like, same thing kind of like now that I'll be like, oh, do you see that hawk? And people are like, oh, what do you mean? And like, it's guardian is the first thing. The hawk reminds me that I have got big players on the other side keeping me safe. And that has always been, and all I ever have to normally do is ask for a reminder that he is there, and there he is. That's when I see the crow perched somewhere, watching, keeping an eye on the immediate around them. When I see the hawk flying, specifically circling, it's a reminder to normally get my head out of my ass and raise my perspective from above, like pull myself out of whatever drudgery I'm stuck in and observe everything, because there's probably something that I am missing. And they're just fucking cool. I saw something on one of the social medias the other day about like, one day you're young and worried about young things, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, look, it's a yellow-bellied warbler in my backyard. That's totally what adulthood is. Like this morning, I was so excited to go. Like I went go sprinkle some bird seeds around the yard. And I'm like, okay, little babies. The Cardinals, the Blue Jays, the Cardinals remind me of the spiritual world, obviously. The Blue Jays remind me of my dad's side of the family, specifically my grandpa. I remember my uncle passed away a little in early 2022. His youngest son had passed away not too long before then. And I can remember on the day of my uncle's funeral, seeing 3 blue jays in the window of, I was at my little sister's house picking her up, and it was in like this bare ass tree. And so like literally all 3 of them were like, hello. And it was just, I thought it interesting because it was my grandpa Murphy, my uncle Murphy, and then his son. So like, that's a reminder. I wanted to make sure to note to people that like, if you don't know, if you see an animal that is seemingly out of place, don't convince yourself that it could just be there. Oof. Like my husband and I were sitting here in my living room the other day, and we live on a non-functioning golf course right now. So we have this really beautiful kind of open, almost like prairie type landscape. And then surrounding us, we kind of live in the woods. It's dope. But we're just sitting here. I was at the computer doing some work, and from one end of my yard to the other, a fox ran by, like very quickly, just boop, fox ran by. And it was right after we had decided that this conversation was going to be an animal chat. So I yes, the fox is something that's like easily seen here, but like that was a messenger for that moment. Like, don't discredit those moments. Like those blue jays in that moment were telling me that like my family was together on the other side, right? Like take those messages seriously. Don't convince yourself that you're not seeing magic happen.
Absolutely. Well, that's such an important note.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say with that. Like I remember obviously always being connected with animals and being told by so many people like, well, that doesn't have to mean anything or,
Mhm.
whatever. And it's like, well, to me it's significant.
Mhm.
So it
Mm,
is.
right,
If
right.
you decide to not see significance in the world around you, that's your personal choice and like your
Yep.
outlook, excuse me, your outlook on life. You can choose to see there's no magic around you, but in my worldview, it is significant. And those
Mhm.
Blue
Mhm.
Jays or those Cardinals, they mean something to me.
Same.
The
Mm.
Cardinal represents my grandfather.
Yeah.
Cardinals
Mm.
traditionally are someone on the other side, a family member, someone close to you. But to me in
Mhm.
particular, it is my grandfather. There are different types of butterflies that represent different loved ones of mine who have passed on as well.
Yeah.
Mm,
A specific, the little yellow butterfly is my friend Cassandra, the black butterfly is my friend Lauren. To me, those
mm,
animals are significant. And when I
Mhm.
see them, it is a message to remember them.
Mhm.
mm,
If that makes
mhm.
Absolutely.
sense.
Yeah.
I've got something to go circle back around about the hawk. I thought that was funny. The pun just
Yeah.
came out to me about the hawk. To me, like the right away the message, they're very powerful, and I feel the grandfather archetype. And I'm
Mm,
not sure if that is from Native American traditions, but to me, like hawk is grandfather energy, the ancestors,
mm,
something, a very strong, powerful energy. And that definitely echoes, what you said, Annalisa, about feeling like you were protected and that you had
mm,
loved ones around you. I just pulled out my animal magic book, written by DJ Conway, and it says about the hawk superstitions in most of Europe. The hawk is still looked upon as a symbol of good luck.
mm,
Magical attributes: clear sightedness, being observant, far memory, or recalling past lives. A
mm,
message from spirit, omens and dreams, overcoming problems, taking advantage of an opportunity. The cry of a hawk in a meditation is a warning of an upcoming situation that will require boldness and decisiveness.
mm,
Courage,
Mhm.
defense, wisdom, illumination, new life, creativity, truth, and experience. Getting a larger overview so you can make a better decision.
mm,
Mhm.
That's,
mhm.
Yeah.
but there are all kinds of books, that have information like this in it, different resources. But really, the biggest thing is like, how do you feel about that animal?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you
Assign your
Exactly.
own meaning.
feel? Yeah,
Mhm.
when you see a hawk, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes if you don't know how you feel,
Mhm,
excuse me, make sure to then observe the pattern. Observe
mm,
how, okay, this time when I saw the hawk,
Mm-hmm.
this was going on, or I had this thought. And then the next time you see a hawk, like, oh, okay, same thought. Maybe
right.
this is what this animal is here to teach me or show me, or, just like this is who they are, whatever the case may be. Because animals are very, very, what's the word? Direct in how they communicate. At least for
Mm,
me, I've found that they are just kind of like straight shooters. Here it is. You're gonna have to figure out how to figure out what I'm saying, but this is what I'm
mhm,
saying. Um, and the thing about the hawks is that they are also birds of prey. To remember,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of animal are you dealing with? You're dealing with a bird of prey. That's not the
Right.
type of animal that's just going to let you take shit and be okay with
mm,
it.
Right.
There is defense in there. There is watchfulness, like you were describing. So being able to research about the the muggleness of the animal
mhm,
also
Mm-hmm.
will guide you in maybe why this animal is showing up. And the
yeah.
hawks are known in several African traditions, spiritual traditions, to be the one that is close to God.
Mm,
Okay.
And they're
Okay.
incredible. There's all different types of hawks. And so, like different ones may be called to you for different reasons as well, because not all hawks are the same, just like not every crow is the same, and dog and whatnot. So it becomes this obsession. So I totally understand oh wow, look at that warbler there. And so and that makes me think about like also it's important to make sure that you take off oh, that's a bad sign, because I have a friend who hates crows, absolutely hates crows, and it just makes me so sad because I'm like, these crows clearly are trying to tell you something and you just can't even receive it because you just have this idea about them and something that you were taught, and you never took the chance to think otherwise or see otherwise. And so it's okay to kind of like come at it with a neutral perspective instead of coming at it automatically judging it, because that's nature is neutral. Nature is neutral. So it's good for us to have that same approach.
It really is. And like that proves how much you understand the language of animals, because working with dogs and cats specifically, the first thing they pick up on is if you are scared of them. And if you are scared of them, that sends all of their spidey senses into protection mode. And you will hear so often people in the animal field talking about how, oh, this mean animal, this mean animal, this mean animal. Like there are some mean, ungrateful shits out there. Like I've done this for almost 13 years. Like, but that is a small fraction of them. So many of them are reacting off of your anxiety and your fear, because I feel like I've noted this on here before that the first hospital that I started working at was like huge, big energy. There was a lot going on, all of this stuff. It was emergency. Like there were a lot of personalities. So the animals were anxious and overwhelmed all the time. The second place that I worked at, smaller, everyone was a little bit more intuitive, the animals, intuitive to like their feelings, but it was chaos all of the time. It was chaos, anger, frustration all of the time. The animals felt that and reacted to that. In the space that I work now, there is very little chaos. Everyone tends to be very even keel, and you can see a difference in the animals. The amount of aggressive, quote unquote, mean animals that I deal with now is like probably 10 to 20%, where in each of those other situations, it used to be much greater because people don't take in what they're putting out.
Right.
Oh, that's so
important.
important.
And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where you're just sitting and observing. You can do that with your energy. You can present neutral energy to the pets. Or if you can see that they are nervous or scared or something like that, you can present that calm, healing energy to them, and they will be more receptive to you, because then they're not going to see you as a threat. Like Anna-Lisa said, if you are fearful because they are growling at you or looking at you sideways or whatever, they sense your energy and they react in that way. They reciprocate in that way. And that means a lot of times an escalation of behaviors, whereas they may just be like growling to warn you. Sometimes you need to say, I see what you're telling me. I know that you're scared. I'm not going to hurt you, but I have to do this. Just to communicate with them energetically. Sometimes, people use words, and it's funny the reaction that I get in the vet clinic about that, where people will be like, well, I know they can't hear me, or they don't know what I'm saying, or, whatever. Like talking to a deaf pet also, I'll hear comments about that. I'm like, but they understand your intention. They feel the energy in what you're saying.
God, because they see that so much clearer and faster than anything your words are saying.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so if it helps you to convey the message to the pet by verbalizing it, that's fine. talk to somebody who can't hear you. You know, they don't know the color red, but they do understand the intention that you are putting forth.
Mm.
And that makes me curious. Okay, Adriana, being a medium,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be the same way with the spirits. Because, like, I always tell people who the first thing that when they're having behavioral trouble with their dog is like, you have to be a confident leader. And, like, it's got to be the same with the spirits about, like, hi, I'm here to communicate with you, but, like, also, like, on my time and my dime, like, having a clear boundary of this is what we're doing and when we're doing it and what we will tolerate. Like, I guess that's why
Very
you
much.
speak animals so fluently, is because you fluently speak spirit.
That's a really good point, and I definitely did not connect the two. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, it is. It's very much like, okay, it is what it is. Like, that directness just gets you so far. Wow, words. Okay, it gets you so far, and it just makes things a lot easier. But humans are messy. Humans are messy.
Humans are
So we
messy.
do have to learn. But if you aren't good at setting boundaries in your human life, then that's going to spill over into your spiritual life. It's going to spill over into your intuition. It's going to spill over into connecting with animals, into your magic. So communicating with animals has definitely been a big lesson in fucking boundaries. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm not going to fuck with you. I respect you. You are beautiful. Yes. And I can observe from afar. Yes. Yes, I can do that.
Right.
So yeah. I had another question, but then I lost it. Oh well.
Thinking about, actually, I wanted to bring something up about feather magic.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
So there are a lot of traditions that honor different types of feathers, mean different messages. And I know that Adriana, you have done some feather work as well.
Yes,
so I would like
ma'am.
to ask you a little bit about your journey with that.
Oh, the feathers. I love them so much. It's always a precious moment when they show up. It started off just being robin feathers. And then it grew into crow feathers, and I thought I was big shit when I started getting crow feathers. I mean, that was next level. And then it shifted into blue jay feathers and all different kind of duck feathers, and just so whatever's in that environment, I've probably gotten a feather from it. And what I've learned is that different feathers, of course, mean different things. How you find the feather can also be a really big key as to what this message is, or the medicine that it is trying to bestow upon you. And then also that sometimes it's not for you to keep feathers as well. Sometimes they are supposed to be back in nature, and just like observing an animal, observe the feather, take the lesson, but leave it where it is. And that was a really hard lesson, because I'm real quick about, oh, get it here.
Yeah.
Mine.
A bitch does like to collect things.
Yes, snatched. But I have definitely gotten, like, I had this one really huge experience where I saw this beautiful duck feather, and it was like blue and green, and just like when the light hit it, it was so gorgeous. And I brought it home, and I don't know if it was intuitively or if it actually had a smell, but it had a smell. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like searching around my house, like, what is this? And then I come back to where I had placed it, and it was all right there. And I was like, but why? And I cleaned it, still had a smell. And I just sat there, and I was like, why? And it hit me like, you weren't supposed to bring this home. It was supposed to stay where you found it. And so I was like, God damn it. So I took it outside, put it back, and I had no more smell. And that was my first lesson. And sometimes you don't need it. So yeah, feathers are very special and they have different medicines. You have to activate them as well and you collect them and it's yours. Just like you activate your crystals, you activate your feathers, cleanse them, make medicine with them. I have recently gotten the image, ideal, whatever the case may be, to create, I guess, a fan, for lack of better words. So that I can, like, when I'm doing prayer, especially prayer for people who are going through a rough time or have just recently lost someone, because y'all know I'm on my death doula journey where, wherever they go. So making a fan so that as I'm saying those prayers, they're just kind of like being carried with the feathers. And so I think that's going to evolve into more, but that's definitely like an assignment that Spirit has given me. So I'm on the hunt.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I could talk about it forever. So
well, we just might, because I will say we're coming up on just about an hour. We'll be coming on 15 minutes. This might have to be a 2-part episode because I've still got a few things. I busted out the animal guidebook for some bibliomancy. I'm sure we all have a couple of, we haven't even talked about really familiars. So
yes.
What do we want to talk about next?
How about we had talked about us trying to decide what is the spirit guide for the podcast.
Yes.
And I have here in front of me the Wild and Unknown's Animal Spirit deck. And I would like to pull a card for Magical Aspirations.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about divination. I have another deck in front of me that I'd like to mention too. So we're going to do a good shuffle here. I love how the inside of this box, it says, may you always be on the inner quest.
Yes.
Yes.
You send me your energy. Third shuffle, and it popped out. The lizard.
Oh,
I love that.
The lizard.
He is definitely represented by the fire element. It has here. Of course.
Dragon. Okay.
Yep. Lizard. He's a very cute lizard. He kind of looks like an iguana. The one in the picture here. And I am looking up in the little book what it says about the lizard. What do you guys think about the lizard before I start reading?
I like lizards. They are hella cool.
Yeah, I used to try to catch them when I was staying at my grandmama's house, but they were too quick. I think lizards are very mysterious. Lizards almost remind me of cats as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. I can certainly see that. The first thing when you said lizard, the first visual that came to mind was that they shed their skin too.
I was literally in my head singing this song. Like a chameleon, shedding my skin from the places I've been.
Yes.
Okay. Message.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So in the book it says lizards are instinctual, sensitive to the subtle, and dreamers. The lizard is an expert in the realm of sensory perception. As if it had a sixth sense, the lizard hears what is yet to be spoken and sees what is yet to manifest. Although this is an amazing gift, it can easily wear the lizard down. Big crowds, lots of travel, or overstimulation will drain a lizard of their magical essence. This card is an indication to pull back from bright lights in the big city and return to the inner artist who's been whispering your name. When in balance, the lizard is artistic, telepathic, and spiritual. When out of balance, elusive, non-committal, and flaky. To bring into balance, set forth a creative project. How
That could
appropriate.
not have been more perfect.
That could
Lizard.
not have been more perfect. Thank you, Lizard.
Thank you, Lizard.
We'll post a
we will
picture of the
use
card on our Facebook page and
Yes.
Instagram so everyone
Yes.
can see.
Hell yeah. So I love these are the moments when you know that magic is real. This is what magic is for me. It's when these little synchronicities line up. Because so I also have my Animal Spirit Guidebook by Dr. Stephen Farmer that was gifted to me by no other than Adriana. And the butterfly was the magical aspirations message for us today. And the first message from the butterfly is lighten up and stop taking everything so seriously. And I love that because we were talking about in general lightening up, being less serious, laughing, having more fun. So I
how perfect.
Yes.
So the other
Thank you,
thing that I
Lizard.
want to bring up is my favorite go-to deck. I've had this deck for many moons, and it is the Shapeshifter deck by DJ Conway. I love this deck because every card is a combination of a person and an animal or plant spirit. And they are together. It's not like, oh, a plant and an animal and a person all on one page. You know, it's a combination. And anyone who has heard about shape shifting, that is us changing from one form to the next. And for a lot of us, these animal forms are a part of our spirit. It's not just, oh, that's significant to us, or we really like cats. You know, for example, it is a part of our spirit. And the card that I just pulled out of here before I pulled the spirit guide here was the number 7 power card, which is the Chariot. And anyone that's been doing your homework, everyone has been saying that that is the card of the year of 2023. Is the Chariot. It's forward motion, movement, momentum, change. And this card, it is the body of a man, the upper torso, with his hands raising up, looking up, and the body of a tiger. The tiger is running forward, and the man has his mouth open and his head up in glee. We are moving forward. We are fucking ready for it. And there is the Sphinx in the background, the image of the Sphinx. So I thought that was really appropriate.
Yeah. I
received.
received. Yeah, that fucking heard, man. Yeah.
Damn. Thanks for the reading, y'all.
Yeah, man. Well, so I did some bibliomancy for the podcast, but I also did an animal for the moment for each of us, if y'all would like to hear.
Yay!
All right. So Reverend Raven, you got the egret or the heron.
Okay.
And for you, that says patience, patience, patience. You'll soon get your reward.
God damn it.
This is a time to rely more on yourself than on others to provide what you need. Although it's useful to be aware of what you're feeling, it's better to rely on your intelligence and wit in this situation. Keep your head above the water so you can see what's going on around you. Stay alert to unusual movements or shifts that are taking place by using your vision and paying attention to the vibrations you feel in your body, but also go under the surface of your feelings and allow whatever emotions to flow through you easily and without inhibition.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. Adriana, you got the spider.
Oh,
Typical grandmother spider. This is an opportunity to access your deepest wisdom and assimilate it so that it becomes a part of your daily living. Beware of any potential traps or ruses that you're tempted to get involved in. Rather than staying stuck in this apparent impasse, open your mind to the infinite number of possibilities that are before you and make a choice. Don't limit yourself to the mundane world, but instead be willing to explore other dimensions and realities. It's time to write creatively without limits or tradition or habit. Allow yourself to be inspired by nature.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yes. And
That
then
checks out.
I got the macaw, which I found interesting.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
the macaw has for me, you'll benefit from getting out into the sunlight for at least a few minutes each day. You're at the beginning stages of a heightened spiritual perception and increased creative pulse. You're going to notice a shift in your communication abilities that prompts people to pay attention and listen more closely to what you have to say. Trust your perceptions, no matter how outlandish bizarre they seem, and wear
Mm.
brighter and more colorful clothing no matter what season is. That was also a
Mm.
message of the butterfly, to express yourself
Mm.
by wearing more colorful clothing. So,
Ding, 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 ding,
ding, ding,
ding.
ding, ding, ding.
Can you
That's
send me that
beautiful.
description of the egret?
Same.
Absolutely.
I heard
Absolutely.
it, and then I tried to write down notes, and I wrote one sentence.
Oh, no, no. I will send that to you for sure. For sure.
My brain heard it, and then I'm like, wait, what? I wrote, make
And now
logical
it's all
decisions,
gone.
not just emotional.
Maybe that
Because
was the only
sometimes-
message you needed to
I
take
was
from
gonna
that.
say, sometimes it's fire energy. You just want to burn the shit down.
Oh my God. I feel that so hard.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good one. We have a heron that lives in our little pond right out here. And
Mhm.
patience is a good way because they will sit there and watch those fish until they find the perfect one.
Yeah.
Ooh, juicy.
Actually,
Thank
what
you.
I do is I
You're
remember
welcome.
a few months ago when we were chatting, and maybe it was 3 months ago or so, we pulled a message of the heron. And I have it,
We did.
yeah, I have it pulled up on my phone because I never close the browser tabs in my phone. So I have the heron
Oh,
in there
wow.
too. I remember.
I love it. Yay. Okay, ladies. Anything else that we want to close out with, or are we good?
I was told there was going to be a quick intuitive exercise.
Yes.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Yes. Okay. Listeners, you too can do this intuitive exercise. Just make sure that you are not driving or operating a heavy machine thing.
Mhm.
So yes. Okay, so let's get the wiggles out, shake and jiggle. Okay. When you feel like you've gotten it all out, go ahead and get into a slow moving body form, comfortable position. Let's take a few breaths. Good. And when you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. Good. And when you're ready again, put one hand over your heart. And feel you. Feel your body. The connection between your hand to chest. The connection from breath to chest to hand. And we're going to do a few more breaths. And when we're done with our breaths, I'm going to ask you a question. And whatever comes up from this question, go with it. Explore it. Be curious about it. Okay. Here's your question. What animal is guiding your ancestral healing right now? What animal is guiding your ancestral healing right now? And if a few animals make themselves known, that's okay. Observe. Listen. What animal is guiding your ancestral healing right now? There's no more questions to ask. And if you feel like you're ready, take some notes. Maybe you need to doodle it, or maybe you need to verbally say what you're experiencing. Or maybe you're like me and you just want to watch the movie that's happening. And just take a few more moments to be with this animal. Remember to take a breath in and out. Good. And now we're going to begin to come back to this space. Thank the animal for being here with you. And know that they have not left. And you can connect with them at any point. And I want you to begin gently tapping on your heart space. This drumming is soothing. It's connecting you back to your body. And let's take 3 big breaths. First one in and release. Second one in and release. Last one in and release. And then slowly begin to stretch your body. Get your wiggles. Open your eyes. Good. And welcome back. Welcome back. If an animal did not present itself, it's okay. Just try it again. Okay. Hello.
Hello. Who were your animals?
Yes, tell us.
You, Adriana.
Oh,
yeah,
me.
you, Adriana.
Hello.
Actually, you.
So I got the snake,
Ooh.
which I totally was not expecting at all. Oh, but it felt right. Seeing that snake, beautiful green, emerald green snake, so shiny and so big. And it just was there, just there, just sitting. I was like, okay, that checks out. I see what you mean. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was my animal.
What about you, Becky?
You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
You literally said, what animal is responsible for your crap? But like you didn't even get to finish asking the question, but the visual that I saw, this is really beautiful. There was a big black circle, like a sphere, and the crow is pecking at it. At the black sphere, and these things are coming off of it, and light is shining through.
Shit.
as the crow is like pecking at it and the light's shining through, and he's cracking open the foundation
Mm,
and exposing the weaknesses to allow healing.
mm, mm.
And then immediately I also saw the butterfly with the message of the be the goo that we
Be
talked
the
about
goo.
a few weeks ago. Like allowing the transformation and allowing that messy form of transferring from the dark to the light. That it's, healing isn't linear. Allowing that messy spot in the middle where you're trying to heal and where some of it's going to be dark and some of it's going to be light, and you don't have to have it all figured out.
What a beautiful message.
Yeah, damn.
What a beautiful image. I would want to be there forever just watching. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow. Intense. Anna-Lisa.
It's the horse. It's always same like Becky with the crow. It's so much often always the horse. It's same thing. Like you said, like what animal? And it's just this big, like I'm standing in front of this big giant horse and like we're almost like forehead to forehead, like hello. Like it's always just that close. It's always the horse, but also the bear and the hummingbird came through as well.
Oh.
I'm gonna need to ponder that further because at first it was like horse. Stop asking. Horse. It's obviously the horse. It's always the horse. And then like it finally was like, okay, but then the bear and the hummingbird right at the very end. So I don't know. We'll do some more looking into that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Hummingbirds are so special. Special to me. So, good job, ladies. Such
good
beautiful
job,
messages.
ladies.
Yeah. This was such a good episode, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you. That I think Becky and I probably feel it pretty deeply that we just want the animals to be heard because that's all they want to do.
And I appreciate you bringing up that we needed to discuss this topic because it's something that is near and dear to our hearts, and I feel like we kept pushing it to the back burner because we felt like we needed a guest. Like we needed an expert or someone else externally to tell us like how we felt about it. And this was very healing for us to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad because I think y'all are the experts. I figured it would click. You just needed a little time for it to settle in.
I echo that a lot because I've never thought of being able to talk to them as one of my superpowers, but I really think it is. I really think it is.
It is. Absolutely.
Oh my God, you guys, I just realized that I am wearing a shirt with a cat on it who's shooting lasers out of his eyes at the earth. He also is pooping a rainbow.
Valid.
But I didn't realize that I was wearing that when we're talking about animals.
So magical. I love this life.
It is so magical. Yes.
Oh, man.
I love you guys.
I love you guys. And on that note,
thank you for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this. Be sure to go do all the things, like tell us your favorite animals that are guiding you right now, and have a beautiful day.
Stay
magical, people. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Anna-Lisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.